Oh, hello, YouTube. Today on The Naughty Librarian, I am going over episode 2 of the Mayfair Witches. And this episode, it feels like so much happened, but at the same time, like, not a lot of stuff happened. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. Let's just talk about the episode. Hopefully I will clarify my point. So the episode starts off in Donleith, Scotland. This is the historical birthplace of the Mayfair Witches, and we get to meet Suzanne a little bit before she became Suzanne the Mayfair Witch. She's a teenager at this point. She's a peasant, she's an apprentice healer. This is all pretty book accurate. She was a healer in the book as well. But, like, she's also, like, given handies on the side, I'm assuming for extra cash. Like, there's really no talk about why. And also, there's literally no reason why this scene was included in the episode at all. Like, the whole scene is just a girl picking herbs and the handy, and then they cut from it and they never go back. And like, it has nothing to do with the episode at all. Why have it in the episode? I feel like everyone who hasn't read the book are just going like, who is this Scottish lady? Like, they didn't even clarify anything about it. So it's really out of place in this whole scene. But just so you know, it's Suzanne Mayfair, the first Mayfair witch, who actually was the one who originally conjured Lasher. So a little bit of book trivia for you. So like episode 1, episode 2 is also kind of cutting back and forth in between Rowan and Deirdre still. We're still kind of continuing that storyline, but things are coming to a head this episode. In Rowan's side of the story here, she's still very much grieving over Ellie. She's like full on just drinking every night and like sleeping with Ellie's urn. Like, it's a mess. She's really just kind of broken and destroyed. And she starts finally trying to move on a bit, and she's making calls to the adoption agency that Ellie told her where she adopted her from, asking about her sealed records. Like, we all know this is not going to go well. So the adoption agency tells her, like, I don't know what you've been told, but we didn't even exist when you were adopted. Like, we have no record of you at all. So Rowan is obviously quite distraught by this, knowing that Ellie was lying to her. And a quick update on Deirdre, kind of simultaneously. She's still mostly catatonic over at the Mayfair's house, but in her dreams, she can still communicate with Lasher. And Lasher's kind of just been there with her all these years, comforting her. As much as I think he's able, I do think he has some amount of affection for the Mayfair witches, even though he's manipulating them. But he has been with her for, like, 30 years. And all of that actually is very book accurate. Deirdre does just live in her dreams, in her brain, because her body is just catatonic. Lasher tells her that he was able to find her daughter, because Carlotta told Deirdre that Rowan died, so she was never fully 100% sure if her daughter was alive or dead. And she's fully alive. Lasher found her. Deirdre is very excited. She wants to meet her, but Deirdre needs to be able to wake up first if she wants to be able to free herself. And, she has that nice doctor now who's like, there's something fucked up about this. I'm not going to keep giving you Thorazine you don't need. So she hasn't had it for, like, probably a couple days at this point, at least. And eventually it's got to work its way out of her system. So time is coming where she's going to be able to reclaim her own body. So back to Rowan, right? She's grieving. She wants to get her mind off things. She just keeps wanting to go to the hospital, do more surgeries, keep her mind focused on that, saving lives, and like not dealing with her own grief. Only to find out that she's been taken out of surgical rotation. So she calls up. She's like, what's going on? Guess who took her out of rotation? Dr. Ketch. I thought she killed him in the last episode. Apparently she just hurt him real bad, and I guess maybe helped save his life or something, because like he is genuinely like so nice to her now. Maybe like the near-death experience changed a body a bit, but yeah, he's like super nice. He's like, listen, yeah, you're a good surgeon, but you're off your game. I can tell. Like, for you, it's not a big deal that you're off your game, but like you're still off. You need to like grieve. And she's like, I don't want to. And he's like, okay, fine. If you get approved by psychology upstairs that you're okay to work, I'll put you back on rotation. So like, wow, catch, being like a reasonable, nice human being. Before, remember episode 1 where he's just like, I don't care, your mom has cancer? Like, wow. Night and day difference here. So Rowan goes to the psychologist upstairs. Rowan is a very kind of closed off person. She's just like giving platitudes. I don't think the psychiatrist is putting up with her bullshit. She's like, you are full of shit. So she asks her about Lamley, the other guy's head she made explode, except he actually died. He died for real. He his head super exploded inside of itself. So she starts asking about that, and Rowan is like physically very uncomfortable by this because she knows she did it and no one else does at this point, but she's, guilty. And then the doctor starts getting like a sharp head pain and her nose starts bleeding. So Rowan's like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here before your head explodes too. I can't control my head exploding abilities if I get any type of uncomfortable. So she pieces out. Although the doctor did say that these happen all the time, so I don't know if it was maybe an underlying medical condition that Rowan made worse or something, but I don't know. Rowan really can't control her powers, so she's just horrified of them. And since she can't control them, it's just causing her to spiral downward and more. Like, here's an example, right? She comes out of the hospital after the psychiatrist, she comes to her car, and it has been pooped on by all of the birds in a 20-mile radius. I think everyone can commiserate here and know that, yes, that's annoying AF, but with Rowan, she turns and looks at the tree and sees all the birds, and with annoyance, she ends up just accidentally killing 3 birds by being annoyed with them real hard. Oh my! So she is just kind of horrified. Everywhere she looks with any type of annoyance, something's head explodes. So wow, okay. So she's gotta take all the little bird bodies, she collects them, and then she drives over to the beach to bury them. I don't know why she needed to go to the beach to bury them, but this is what she does. And I guess this bird burial was real tiring because Rowan just passes out on the beach and has a full fever dream about the Mayfair house, and she's seeing Ellie, and Ellie's telling her to follow her inside. This whole beautiful trippy dream thing. And while Rowan is passed out, there is someone there watching over her. Remember we met Cyprian, the Talamasca agent, in the last episode? Well, he has been following Rowan around. While Rowan's out at work, he's breaking into her houseboat. He's going around touching stuff. He's going ooh, what's this? Oh, and getting all the inside scoop on Rowan. I touch her glass and oh no, she's really sad. I touch her purse. I see her explode Lamley's brain. He's seeing all these very intricate details about her life. And he's also concerned for her because he's been observing her for so long that he's noticed also her powers are out of control. And Cyprian has been struggling about whether or not he should just approach Rowan and tell her what the hell's going on, which seems like the best option at this point. But everyone keeps telling him to no, don't approach, she doesn't need to know. I don't know what this whole campaign of gaslighting Rowan is, but it's a whole thing. And Cyprian seems to be the only one who's I think she can make her own decisions. So maybe they are still setting him up as the love interest here because he's the only one who seems to think of her as a human being. I mean, the bar is low at this point, but still. Cyprian is an amalgamation of 2 main characters from the book, one of which was Rowan's husband. So I'm assuming they're planting a seed of a love interest here, maybe? I don't know. But anyways, luckily he was there. He was watching over Rowan and she's just passed out on the beach. And apparently she's just passed out for a while because she wakes up and there's a full-blown kegger going on the beach right around her. And I don't know how it's possible no one seemed to notice the passed out lady on the beach. They're oh, this lady's passed out, let's throw a party around her. It's so freaking absurd. I was I laughed for the wrong reason at this point. But really not a single person thought hey, let's check on this lady. No, we're just gonna throw a kegger around her. What is going on here? But she wakes up and she's okay, well, this is weird, I'm going to leave. So she's leaving the beach and Cyprian does finally approach her. And she's you need to leave me alone. You don't know what I'm capable of. And he's no, I do know what you're capable of. Let me talk to you for a minute. I can help. I'm not trying to hurt you. Owen's no, I'm not ready for this. She's trying to run off. So he just grabs her hand, no, stop. And he has psychometry. Mind you, they're both wearing gloves, but I guess she's powerful enough that it surpassed the gloves because he goes into a full fever dream acid trip into her like magical abilities and it stops his heart. So Rowan has to do the full CPR thing, and luckily he does survive. She revives him. And this is actually kind of book accurate. That's how Michael and Rowan meet. Although in the book, Michael drowned and Rowan was on her boat and like fished him out of the water and like gave him CPR. So kind of book accurate. I don't know. There's like a hint there. So they take Cyprian to the hospital, loading him onto an ambulance, and Rowan steals his phone and she's going through it and she sees all these pictures of her on there and she's like, this is freaking weird. And then she's seeing all these other photos, including one photo of Ellie before she had adopted Rowan, and it's taken in front of this house with her cousin in New Orleans. Rowan's like, oh shit, I need to talk to this guy. He obviously knows some shit. So Rowan races to the hospital to meet him there. By the time she gets there, the paramedics tell her like, nah, he woke up and ran off. Like, we tried to bring him to the hospital. He didn't want to go. So now Rowan is still alone. No answers. Cyprian's in the wind. She's like, I don't know what to do, but I have a phone picture that says New Orleans. It's my only clue. I'm getting on a plane. So she just like immediately gets on a plane to New Orleans. Speaking of New Orleans, let's go back to Deirdre's story for a minute here. So Deirdre finally wakes up. The Thorazine has worn off, and luckily she wakes up for the first time in front of the doctor, who's nice. And he's like, hey, you got it. You play cool. Play cool. Like, listen, I'm working on a plan to get you out of here. I have a lawyer who like specializes in familial abuse. Like, I'm gonna help you, but you gotta be patient here. Like, just pretend. So Deirdre stays pretending to be catatonic, you know, for her family, so they don't know that she's actually in control of herself again. Finally, when she like gets put to bed at night, she has some freedom. She can actually get up and walk around. Like, this is probably the first time she's walked around in like 30 years. Somehow her muscles haven't atrophied. Movie magic. So she's up and walking around and just kind of experiencing things for good and bad, like seeing things and being happy and also being sad. She wants to feel all of the things all at once. Lasher comes to her and he's just like, awesome, you're awake. This is the best thing. Remember how I told you, like, I'd take care of you? Like, I'm taking care of you. You're totally awake. And by the way, you are super hot and you're not a kid anymore. And she's like, I know, right? And then, like, they full-on ghost bang. And I know that sounds weird, but, like, even in the book, like, Lasher is somehow capable enough of making the person he's with feel like they are actually having sex with him. Like, it's hard to explain, but he has some degree of corporealness, especially for the Mayfair witches, because they can see him, so they kind of strengthen that. So, yeah, you could full-on bang Lasher if you're a Mayfair witch. And apparently, he's amazing at it. I mean, he's banged enough of the Mayfair witches to know. Like, he's banged all of them. All of them at this point, since the 1600s. It's a lot of Mayfairs to be banging. But, like, at one point in the book, like, Rowan does refer to him having the cock of an archangel. So, I mean, I guess it's good. I don't know. It seems to work for Deirdre, at least. However, here's the problem with this ghost banging in the show. Lasher has been communicating to Rowan through dreams and kind of like leading her here casually. Like, he hasn't really appeared to her except for that one time on the prow of her ship, but he has been in her dreams kind of influencing her to go to New Orleans. So he's been leading her here. And whilst he is banging Deirdre, I don't know, I guess he's still like attached to Rowan's dreams. Maybe it's like a faulty ghost Bluetooth situation. I don't really know. But like, he's still attached to her dreams, and Rowan's asleep on the plane while he's banging like Deirdre. So she's getting like secondhand ghost banged at the same time on a plane. She got banged by a ghost on a plane. And like, actually that part's book accurate. That's like a whole thing in the book. In the book, at least, she feels very violated by it because it was a dream, but like it felt too real, so she feels like she was like violated. And I don't know if they're getting at that in the show, because like Rowan just looks like she just got fucked stupid. Like, frankly, I don't know. The whole scene and like the implications here are gross. Anyway, it's the morning after, and as soon as Carlotta leaves, Deirdre's gonna make her move. So she watches, makes sure Carlotta's in the car, and it's left. So she's like, all right, I'm going. So she gets up and she's about to leave the house, but like her maid Delphine, who's been like charged with her care for all these years, does see her and she's like, please let me go. And Delphine's like, okay. Like, she is sympathetic to Deirdre. She is part of the problem. Like, she has been complicit in keeping Deirdre this way, but I think she's the only one who actually cared about Deirdre's well-being at all. So she does let her go. So yes, Delphine, redemption as a character. Deirdre gets out of the house for the first time of her own power in like 30 years. And it's this beautiful moment where it starts raining rose petals, which is like pure Lasher, baby. Like, Lasher, that's like his style. He loves it to like rain rose petals. It's his thing. But it's like celebratory. She's finally free. Deirdre goes straight to Cortland's house because, you know, it's not like she knows anyone else. So she goes straight to Cortland's house and Cortland's like, oh my God, Deirdre, how are you here? And she's like, I did it. I'm free. And he's like, well, shit. Let's get you cleaned up. You could stay here. This is great news. So she gets all cleaned up and she's looking more like an actual human being again, not like a Victorian ghost who's haunting a house. And she's like, Cortland, guess what? Lasher found my daughter. She's alive. I am going to find her. And he's like, all right, you do what you need to do. So Deirdre starts doing like some real witchy witchcraft stuff for a moment. And it like binds her fully to Lasher, so he's now a conduit for her power and she can like see through his eyes and everything. And she uses Lasher to locate Rowan. And she finds out which hotel she's staying in, which room she's staying in, and she's like, oh shit, she's already here. I've got to go get her. Cortland's like, I'll get my driver to take you. Let's go. So since they found Rowan in a hotel, obviously she's made it to New Orleans at this point. And the only clue she had is that photo. So she's like, I know it's in New Orleans. I'm going to look around New Orleans till I find the house that's in the photo. Like, this is her whole plan. So, luckily though, she's in like the hotel bar, she meets a tour guide and she's like, hey, do you know this house? And she's like, yeah, I know that house. That's the MAYFAIR house. It's full of witches. And she's like, witches? And she's like, yeah. So Rowan's like, hey, if I give you a big tip, will you take me? And she's like, sure. Next tour leaves at 5 o'clock. Meet me down here. And she's like, excellent. So she gives her a tip. She goes back up to her room, she's taking a shower, getting ready. But before she can go meet back up with the tour guide, Cyprian calls her and he's like, hey, listen, we should talk for real this time. And he convinces her that he's here to help and he's gonna fill in all of the gaps that she has about what's going on with her. He's been there himself. He also has powers. So he's like, listen, I wanna help you. And Rowan really doesn't have a lot of places to turn. And after she stopped this guy's heart, he's still calling her and wanting to meet with her. So like, she's like, well, he knows the risks at this point. So she does trust him. She's like, all right, fine. I'm staying at this hotel. I'll meet you in the lobby in 5 minutes. He's like, I'll be there. So Rowan's at the hotel. Deirdre's on her way to the hotel. Cyprian's on his way to the hotel. And I forgot to mention, Carlotta's also at the hotel. She's at like a fancy old lady brunch and she's there. And Deirdre walks into the hotel and she's like, I'm finding my daughter. But Carlotta sees her and she's like really trying to stop Deirdre. She's like, you can't be here. How are you awake? This is great. But grimacing through all of it. So obviously she's still trying to like keep her controlled. But Deirdre's not having this. She's like, no, I'm finally awake for the first time in 30 years. Go fuck yourself. Guess what? I'll sick Lasher on you, bitch. You back off. So Carlotta does. She's like, okay, well, I'm obviously gonna get hurt by Lasher, so shit. So Deirdre gets on the elevator, so full of hope. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet my daughter. I'm going right to the 10th floor where I know she is. And she gets in there, she's so excited. And then Rowan is leaving her room. She's going to wait for the elevator. They're gonna meet, and you're really excited. So finally, the elevator gets to the 10th floor. Rowan's standing there. Here's Deirdre. They're gonna meet. The door's open. They're face to face for the first time ever. It's been 30 years, so it's like this huge pivotal moment. Except for the fact that Deirdre's throat has been slit and she immediately dies. So, oh my gosh! And Rowan's like, what the hell? Like, she's freaking out. She literally just met her mother and her, she just starts bleeding everywhere. And then boom, credits. And it's like, oh my gosh! They are really hitting those credit cuts solidly. Like, say what you want, like, the episodes are still a bit mediocre, honestly, but like, boom, those cuts to credits will keep you coming back. Like, that is excellent storytelling, those credit cuts. However, I do want to point out, I feel like there is a clue here, because they very conspicuously pointed out that the elevator did stop at one point on the 6th floor before it continued on to the 10th floor. So someone has obviously killed Deirdre. This is now a murder mystery. Who killed Deirdre? Which sucks though too, because I was really hoping this was a Justice for Deirdre season, and like, no, they just killed her off immediately. So she's really a tragic figure in the book and in the show, and it's really unfortunate. Like, in the book, she never really gained consciousness again. She just kind of passed away from a combination of being on shock treatments and Thorazine for 30 years, you know, like that. And so she just kind of quietly went. In this one, it's actually even more tragic because she got like a taste of being back in her own body again before having it taken away. So I'm sure there is a metaphor they're trying to play out here with Deirdre's story, saying how like bodily autonomy is like sometimes hard to regain, and how dare she try to regain it is taken away again. You know, there's probably some layers here that we could go into, but I'm not going to at this point. So yeah, overall, I do think it was an improvement to the first episode because like we are getting somewhere. There's like action happening, but overall, it was still a little disjointed. Like I said, they put in the Scotland part, which makes no sense to literally anybody. If you haven't read the book, you're like, who is this lady? It's such a non sequitur scene that they did nothing with for the rest of the show. Why put it in? So there's still some like elements here that aren't necessarily working the best. But those end credit cuts, they have me intrigued to come back for the next episode every time. Hot damn, they keep sucking me in. Alright, so that was episode 2. Let me know in the comments down below, how did you feel about it? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it better than episode 1? Do you have any cool predictions for the rest of the season? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, I have predictions, but they are based on knowledge I know from the book, so I don't want to say them because I feel like it'll be very spoilery. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And also, if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And I will see you guys soon. Goodbye!